Hi, my name is Logan Snyder, and I'm a second-year counseling psychology student at the University of Central Arkansas.
Hi, my name is Stephanie Soto, and I am also a counseling psychology doctoral student at the University of Central Arkansas.
So today, we're going to be presenting results from a multivariate analysis regarding the achievement growth predicted by poverty level with Hispanic children. And so we wanted to kind of start by going a little bit over the background of what drew us to this study and how our interests connect to this. So for me, I have a big interest in the educational system in the United States and how protective factors kind of arise in that system. Specifically, what those protective factors look like for minority groups and how they may not be as present in minority groups as they are in many of the more dominant groups in the United States.
And this study is important to me because I'm interested in research regarding Hispanic children, specifically Hispanic children in the educational school system and factors that contribute to their academic growth. So Logan and I merged both of our interests, and for this study we look at protective factors and kindergarten achievement scores to predict fifth grade achievement scores.
Studies have shown that there is a sizable gap in kindergarten reading and math skills between students belonging to a minority ethnic or racial group and white students. These gaps are often influenced by socioeconomic status, lack of funding to minority schools, documentation status, self-efficacy, and attitudes towards academics. In addition, other studies have suggested the gap between the two groups only increases throughout the public education process, meaning that although a gap between Hispanic students and white students exists as early as kindergarten, the gap only worsens as the student's grade level increases. So by the time students reach high school, societal issues in the education system have only exacerbated challenges that minority students face, often worsening achievement test results.
After conducting a literature review, we believe that kindergarten scores in reading, math, and science skills will be predictive of fifth grade scores in the same subjects. However, we also believe that students with stronger interpersonal skills are more likely to find success in the classroom setting and have higher scores in reading, math, and science tests, which becomes a very important factor. We expect that interpersonal skills will have a big influence on the achievement score outcomes of the two groups, especially as a protective factor for white students who may have higher reported interpersonal skills due to being more comfortable in the classroom as a member of the majority group. Understanding the gap between achievement scores of Hispanic students and achievement scores of white students at an individual and societal level could assist in identifying protective factors, methods of intervention, and broader education reform to bridge the divide between these two groups. We began our study by examining data from the Early Childhood Longitudinal Study. The Early Childhood Longitudinal Study program provides useful information about children's knowledge, skills, and socio-emotional development from birth through elementary school. The Early Childhood Longitudinal Study program has been used by educators, families, researchers, and policymakers to help improve children's educational experiences. The Early Childhood Longitudinal Study program includes 4 longitudinal studies that examine child development, school readiness, and early school experiences.
Our study examined a sample of children belonging in the 2010 to 2011 cohort. This cohort consisted of 18,174 students, which were followed from kindergarten through the 5th grade. The data included a diverse sample of students. Hispanics represented approximately 25.2% of the total number of children who were surveyed, which included 4,592 students. Of the total Hispanic children surveyed, only 1,454 of the cases were included in our analysis. The remaining 3,138 students were removed because their profiles did not include all of the data necessary for the analyses we intended to conduct.
A series of multivariate regression analyses were used using a set of predictors which included some of the following: poverty level, interpersonal skills, kindergarten reading scores, kindergarten math scores, and kindergarten science scores to predict 5th grade scores in math, reading, and science. Correlations between the predictor variables did not indicate multicollinearity, therefore they were included in our models.
The first multiple regression model included poverty level, interpersonal skills, and kindergarten science achievement scores to predict 5th grade science achievement scores. This model helped to explain 35% of the variance in 5th grade science achievement scores. The second model included poverty level, interpersonal skills, and kindergarten reading scores to predict 5th grade reading achievement scores. This model helped to explain 29% of the variance in 5th grade reading scores.
Our final model, which explained the greatest amount of variance, included poverty level, interpersonal skills, and kindergarten math achievement scores to predict 5th grade math achievement scores. This model helped to explain 39% of the variance in 5th grade math achievement scores.
These results indicate that compared to reading and science scores, math scores are more highly correlated between grade levels. This tells us that Hispanic students that have higher scores in math at a young age are more likely to continue academic achievement. Additionally, when looking at the factors that contribute to better explained variance, poverty level and interpersonal skills were consistently found to be important variables by serving as protective factors.
The results from our study suggest that achievement scores of children belonging in households below the poverty threshold were the lowest when compared to children in households above the threshold.
In addition, results from our study suggested that interpersonal skills are an important protective factor for educational achievement among Hispanic children. Our results also indicated that there is a clear correlation between early academic achievement and later academic achievement.
These findings suggest that increased support for schools, school-based programs, and families within districts with high poverty levels may serve as a protective factor. For instance, increased awareness of multicultural considerations within the classroom may allow for better social development and growth among minority students in a more inclusive environment, which could lead to greater academic success.
Because our results indicated that early childhood achievement scores are correlated with later achievement scores, implementation of these strategies is vital at early developmental periods. These changes could assist in bridging the divide that increases throughout the public educational process, creating a brighter and more inclusive future for students belonging to ethnic minority backgrounds.